A note to our listeners. The views and opinions expressed by our guests and hosts on the BLKFLA podcast are solely their own and do not reflect the official positions or views of any organizations, companies, or affiliations they may be associated with. Any statements made are personal opinions and should not be construed as representing their respective employers or organizations. As always, thanks for listening.
If revolution was a movie, I'd be theme music. Time to ignite what I spit is lighter fluid. Stepping into it, fixed rays, such a glorious design. Marching into the biggest fight of our lives. Time to spoil the
Welcome, y'all, to the BLKFLA experience. We are the cultural archive for the Black political movement in the state of Florida, where our purpose is to help you reimagine a Florida where Black people are able to live in freedom, equity, and authenticity. I'm your host, as always, Jamal STEELE, and we are taking this time to dive into all things Black politics and Black culture. So we about to get into it. It's been an interview that I've been wanting to do for the longest. We've been trying to get these schedules together. So I'm not even at the normal place that I normally am when we do these episodes, which is my living room in Jacksonville, Florida. I am actually in the living room of the individual that y'all are seeing right now here live and direct in Pensacola, Florida.
Yes, sir.
For our second episode of our Allow Me to Introduce series. So of course we told y'all when we first had the first episode of our Allow Me to Introduce series with the gubernatorial candidate, Dana Marie Foster, that we bringing y'all people that y'all might not necessarily know about that's running for state and local offices during this crucial midterm election season. And I'm honored, I'm blessed, and I'm just grateful to be able to introduce to some and present to others the candidate for the mayoral seat for the city of Pensacola, Florida, my home for real here in Florida. Yeah. The amazing and awesome Jermaine J. Williams. What's going on, my guy?
Man, thank you so much for it. Hey, this is a big stage. I already know, man. Like, just been so impressed with everything you've been doing. Just being able to watch the journey, So this a big interview for me, man. And you my dog. You know what I'm saying? We've been like that for a long time. And then, just both of us, what we ended up at on this journey is crazy. So, man, just really proud of you,
Oh man, no, I appreciate it, bro. This has been a process. But it's been a great process. And when we finally connected, the very first time that we finally connected, that Jermaine and I finally connected in person, this is the funniest part, was June 6th, 2020. Literally, the first time I ever met Jermaine in person was on the Chaffee James Bridge in Pensacola, Florida, blocking the Chaffee James Bridge until these people gave us a civilian oversight committee here in Pensacola, Florida, which, I always like to bring back attention to that because Pensacola is one of only 12 cities in the state of Florida that has ever had a civilian oversight board, that has ever had or currently has, despite the fact that the state legislature has decided to create a bill that went into law that completely dismantled civilian oversight boards across the state of Florida. We are still one of 12 cities that had that. And we had it because we fought for it. And Jermaine is one of the leaders of the PAC that was there with us when we fought for the situation. So Jermaine is one of those people who has been 10 toes down with the movement as a whole here in Pensacola, but across North Florida as well, because he's done dynamic dynamic social work over in Jacksonville, Duval County as well. But we're going to get more into that as the interview goes on. So This is what we do here at BLKFLA before we start the conversation. We have what we call our BLKFLA top 5.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do 2 top 5s.
Okay.
The first top 5 is your top 5 favorite MC.
Oh, Lord, I hate this question. Is this particular order? Okay. In that particular order, I gotta go Mac No Limit. Definitely gotta go Pac Biggie. Gotta have those 3. Andre 3000. I wish I could name him 5 times. And of course, I'm gonna say on that last one, I'm gonna give it a tie between Juvie and Lil Wayne. Yeah, that's it.
That works for me. That top 5 always works for me. If you ever put Big Andre 3000 and Mac.
Oh man, Mac, yeah.
In a top 5, you good in the hood with me. The next top 5 is top 5 organizers or cultural figures that shaped you to be the leader that you are right now.
Oh wow. Malcolm X. I will go with Medgar Evers. It's so many of them. This is so hard. Leroy Boyd locally here, definitely. My grandmother who has passed on. My grandmother was a long time member of Movement for Change and everything else. And for that last spot, oh my goodness. This was a hard question. This harder than the 5 MCs. I would have to probably go with Maya Angelou, definitely. But honorable mention, Angie Nixon. So there you go.
Hey, friend to the podcast, part of the hosting team, state representative Angie Nixon. Both of them are going to be on your ballot.
Yes,
on August the 18th. We're gonna get into that as well. If you live in the Pensacola city area, both Angie Nixon and Jermaine Williams is gonna be on your ballot August the 18th. I thought it was really dope during this whole campaign trail that you've been going on when we saw the video of you at Malcolm's grave site.
Yeah.
Like that was monumental to me because I know the significance of what Malcolm X means to you.
Yeah.
And how Malcolm got you to this point that you're at now.
Definitely.
And so that was dope to me in and of itself. And then the last piece to the organizer top 5 is the Movement for Change pipeline.
Yeah.
That the Movement for Change organizer pipeline should be studied here in Pensacola, Florida, because there's so many of us that came out of the Movement for Change movement that are currently doing, on the verge of doing like incredible things within the city and the state.
Yeah.
So shout out to Mr. Leroy Boyd, shout out to Mr. Jerry McIntosh, RIP to the amazing, awesome Carol McIntosh. Movement for Change. That little building there,
yes,
it's got a lot of power in it.
I'm a 3rd generation member of Movement for Change. So that should let you know how.
So let's get into it, man. You come from an amazing journey just here in Pensacola, Florida, to where if the mayoral race wasn't a factor, people would still want to have conversations with you, and people would still want to study the evolution of who Jermaine Williams is. Speak to that, because before we even get to, I decided that I want to be the mayor of Pensacola, you've still been operating, whether in the streets or in the corporate world, as an incredible leader amongst our people.
Yeah, so it started, rapping. We were being a rapper back in high school. Was affiliated with Roy Jones in some way, and then we just, my dad died when I was 6. That's how I got landed on Malcolm. My aunt, who passed on, she said, "You're gonna need a strong man in your life now," and then she just introduced me to Malcolm. But when my dad passed, and it left me a lot of money when I turned 18. So I started my record label, our record label. And, we went on to do great things. But one of the great things that didn't come from that was drugs and alcohol. And that led to a 14-year addiction. And it was hard. It was very hard, especially being here in Pensacola, where you don't have a lot of options to get the help. Plus, you're dealing with the stigma of our community. And then now my family don't really know, like what happened. A lot of people were speaking over my life when I was young about being the first Black president, to now I'm just like, in their minds, I'm one step away from crack cocaine, But being able to move to Jacksonville, and because, I talk about this all the time, to the detriment of me as well, because it ended up getting me suspended from my job, but the mismanagement of mental health dollars in the Panhandle is unreal. But, the DCF managing entity over in Jacksonville, LSF, are so forward thinking with their dollars, to where it not only got me sober, it helped me manage and educate myself on the symptoms of mental illness, got me certified as a peer specialist in the mental health field. Film, they helped me establish my film company. So, that was one big thing. But community organizing, even while dealing with addiction, going down and literally putting my life on the line, because we all know what happened here with Willie Jr. and everybody else. Pensacola has a dark history. So, just being an activist and working with people like you and Haley, but learning from some of the giants that went before us, to help turn the tide and speak for the voiceless who have lost their voice for so long. Because, our parents and grandparents start getting a little out of touch with it, and start getting a little setting how things were going. It was up to us to keep that ball moving forward. But then, you got rap music, you got all the things that could distract. We dealing with stuff that they didn't have to, social media, all the stuff. We're benefiting from their fight for freedom. We are the generation that has the luxury of the freedom, to where we gotta keep in mind, hey, it's still a lot to fight for. And so that was a long journey. Being sober, I'm going on 11 years. Being named the National Peer Specialist of the Year, which is almost equivalent to being National Mental Health Worker of the Year. It's just, you got to be careful with the wording, but by the National Council of Mental Well-Being, saying that I'm the best in the country, something I already knew, but now it's not just my opinion. And, all those things, and bringing that talent back here home, and restriking the fire, teaming up with people like Haley, yourself, to restrike that fire. It's not the fire went out, but me, I like to do things and say things to take it to another level, that, Haley is in spaces, and she was on the platform now, to where hey, the evolution of me, the evolution of Haley is crazy as well. And so when you get to a certain point, certain things that you can do, but I know I was still in that role to where I could say certain things, because with our city government, you can't go down there timid and respectful. They don't listen to that. And you have to go down there and shake things up. But that led me to the decision to where all this gray in my beard, my 16-year-old wants to go to Howard Medical School, and that's expensive, and just all this stuff in my life right now. Activism, I'm tired of it. So I'm just gonna go take somebody's job. You know,
He's like, gonna take somebody's job. So one of the key pieces to the journey of getting you to where you are now is the importance of mental health, the importance of advocating for proper mental health, and just your mental health journey as well. Let's dig into that also.
Yeah, I even my first 3 years of sobriety, a lot of people didn't think I was sober because I was still dealing with untreated issues of mental illness, which is bipolar 2, intermittent explosive disorder, and PTSD. And those things I learned. That's why I was dabbing in addiction so hard, because I was trying to self-medicate. So even when you decide that, this war is that water, man. When you're deciding that, I'm tired of living like that. You still have to deal with the things that have you living like that. And we have such a stigma, not just in our community, but in the world, with mental illness. But when you get your mental illness together, you got your life together. And now you could be that person that God intended you to be. And when I was able to do that and then start working in that field, and I've seen, because my specialty is suicide and addiction. I've taken over 1,000 suicide calls. I took the most highest rated calls for a hub for 988. And I was able to help so many people get their lives together, and that's why I think here in Pensacola, it's extremely important, because when you fix the mental health problems of people, 40 to 60% of their problems just got solved. That's my opinion, because, say for instance, if somebody is walking around and they're untreated with bipolar 1 and they hit a manic stage and they don't know what they're dealing with, and they go and spend all their money. That's a part of being manic, of that, a symptom of that mental illness. Now they have just put themselves behind the 8 ball, and they can't figure out why I keep just spurts just going on these shopping sprees when I can't afford it. Now they're dealing with bankruptcy. They can't eat. They can't, or if someone has intermittent explosive disorder, and they always wondering why they keep getting arrested for violent crimes, why they can't stop themselves from blowing up on people, why they can't keep a job because they keep cussing out their supervisor. Then when these things come to light, then they start to get medicated, and now their brain has evened and leveled out, and now they can make not rash decisions, but they can make the proper decisions to take care of themselves. You solve a lot of problems. You can solve the crime epidemic, everything, when you start to treat the mental health, and then you build on that. That will be your floor. Then you build on those policies that can make their lives even better. And here in Pensacola and in this area, Escambia County has been number 1 in opioid overdose deaths for the last 5 years. The reason why is the corruption in mental health dollars here, especially with the opioid abatement fund. So we don't even have the money coming in. Like, say, we have the same amount of money, but we don't have responsible people over it, like people like in different manager entities. And like, you go to Jacksonville, man, the streets are paved with gold with resources. So that's why I want to start there first, and then surround that mental illness problem with policies that can build on that, and then watch how this thing turn around.
Oh man, absolutely. So you spoke to something in that mental health and mental illness are one of the leading causes in police answering calls that leads to police killing. 2 significant police killings. One peeking into that particular issue, and then the other one not so much. But 2 key police situations that happened here in Pensacola was Victor Steen and Tamar Crawford. Speak to how both of those situations
helped shape you in wanting to move forward, not just as a leader within the community, but moving forward in the decision that you made to wanting to run for mayor?
Yeah, I think that just again, I think, and I might get a little flack on this, but I think other cities in Florida has done a better job in moving forward from the 60s than we have. Now, they may not have been leaps and bounds. And I know people like, oh, come to Jacksonville then, or come to Orlando. Come to Pensacola. You know, it's bad here. And Victor, Steen, Crawford, and the a lot more others. It might not have been police killings, but there have been certain things that you just go, wow, we got to do better because, and I hate that phrase, we got to do better, because that sounds like somebody on the sidelines saying that, you know. And I used to always just be from that, oh, we got to do better, but then I said, I'm going to jump in the game now to try to turn things around, because, you know, when I was started rapping, everything was just, you know, how it was, kill, murder, rapping about all that stuff. And then I made a song called Eyes on the Prize. Have you heard Eyes on the Prize? So, this was back in 2004, maybe.
Okay.
And Martin Luther King and Malcolm X was on the hook. And I just talked about the stuff that made me, but I pulled what I got from all the leaders. There's over like 17 leaders named in that song. And the video is on YouTube. But when I made that, I saw how they were playing those songs in the club. I said, oh, the atmosphere is ready for it. Mm-hmm. And then I went on into activism after that, shortly after that. And, you know, like Boneface did a Pensacola Cypher. And when I got on there and the way I exploded on the scene, people was like, it really put eyes on me as a solo artist. And that was the most popularity I had as a solo artist. But I walked away from it to do activism full time, because I wasn't going to continue to be a walking contradiction. And so all of those things that happened just made me go full-fledged of just fighting the problems of the city, not just black and white. Like back when Pensacola made being unhoused a crime without the proper solutions on the front end, and where they made the panhandlers go to jail, and if you give them money, they gave you a ticket. Like every scene that was not right, I was on. So but those two that you mentioned really had a significant impact, like it did you. Mm-hmm. You know, like we round the corner with Victor Steen was tragically taken from us, and the thought in my mind just, I don't want to go into it, but having that car on him for that long, you see my eyebrows, like really just, that never leaves you. That never leaves you. And yeah, here.
No, man. No, I understand, because I wasn't living in the city at the time of Victor Steen. I was living in Panama City, Florida, but hearing about it in Panama City and then being here when everything happened with Tamar, it really, those are the things that really put everything into perspective for me as far as why we fight the way that we do. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest, I would say the biggest issue that you advocated for, which I think is the catalyst for why we are here where we are now with you running for mayor, mm-hmm. is the Baptist situation.
Yeah, definitely.
For those who will be watching or listening, mm-hmm. that don't have a great understanding of, number one, the importance of that hospital and medical facility within Pensacola city limits, mm-hmm. and within Black Pensacola, and then the wins that came from that entire mm-hmm. situation. Help for people to understand the importance of the
I always call it the Baptist situation.
Yeah,
Help for
that's
people,
the best way to put it.
help for people to understand the Baptist situation here in Pensacola and why it was. This is the boiling point. We can't do anything else.
Yeah, so Baptist Hospital served as served a predominantly black. It's been a long day. Predominantly black neighborhood. I was born in Baptist. I worked at Baptist, and when I didn't have a car, Baptist Hospital is 2 blocks from where we are now. I used to walk there and eat. You know, it was everything to this community. And when they picked up and moved cross town, which is not historically our neighborhood, and then blocks away from an established hospital that already serves that side of town, we were left with nothing. That was already bad. But then that left a empty building, and it's a huge building, one of the hugest properties that the city owned. And the city wanted to demolish it, which, you know, that's understandable. But then they want to redevelop it. And everything surrounding the redevelopment really just really told us what this administration thought of us. They didn't tell us. Years prior, before they even talked about it, they took a field trip to New Orleans. Never really said why they were going. And then later, come to find out, they awarded the redevelopment, the people to oversee it. That's what the correct terms they'll put in. But I don't trust anything from this administration. What they wanted to do was have the Bayou District to redevelop it. The Bayou District has a long track record of just messing over black communities in the worst way possible. And they have their footprints in Atlanta. But most notable is what they did to the individuals post-Katrina in the St. Bernard Project. And they are notoriously known for tearing down that project with those residents' valuables still inside. I saw a documentary, and they talked to some of the residents, and it's like stuff that's been passed down in their families that's priceless, that are in the rubble of the St. Bernard Parish. And they wanted to bring that to East Street. And, you know, I said, not on my watch. Because this is different. You know, normally I will fight for, you know, not black issues, not white issues, not just what isn't right. You got to fight. When one of my best fighter partners, who became my friend, who became my brother, is Mike Kimbrell. And he's very big. Whatever issue we fight for each other issue, and they open me up to other issues. And I hate that box that people put me in, that I'm a black activist or whatever. I don't even like the word activist. I'm an organizer, and I stand shoulder to shoulder on whoever is fighting for what's right. But with all that being said, we stopped it. We stopped the city from doing what they did. I've only had 2 wins in my 15 years of fighting the city. 2 wins, both came last year, and then they were taken away with a stroke of a pen, including Baptist. And when I said, wow, as much praying and much fighting, organizing, because it ain't easy getting black people down there to fight. Exactly. And when we were able to get that many people to stop it, and it still went how it went, I said, I noticed, like, I'm tired of fighting a losing battle. I said that, no, we have to change from within the inside. And I argued that against that. I was like, no, you don't have to be on the inside to make change. Look at what our people before us did. Like, but no, that showed me, like, maybe if we would, you know, continue to fight, I'll probably be 70 to see a win that would stay, and maybe 1 or 2 at that time. And ain't nobody trying to wait that long. So I decided to run. And then when I decided to run, that was a whole nother thing, because people just looked at me, some loudmouth activists. That was back in January. Nobody took me serious, black or white. You know, I'm not going to say nobody. A lot of people, no, let me take that back, because the shares of the announcement, the money came rolling in, volunteers came rolling in right away. But a lot of people in this city did not think I was capable or ready. But now, everybody believes, and I appreciate that, because I never wanted people to give me their vote. I wanted to earn it. And you know, and that's what we're doing now.
I think one of the joys in watching you earn people's votes is is the Baptist situation, even long before, because the Baptist situation was long before you was like even thinking about running for mayor. It was like the Baptist situation was the thing that kind of made people start the conversation of, well, hey, maybe Jermaine should be in the seat. Because I remember that initial conversation, because it was just somebody just dropped a random like campaign flyer on Facebook.
Yeah.
And you were like, well, what if? No, man, I don't want to do that. The city council meeting happened. Like, I really want to dig into that because every city council meeting before that one, it was you and maybe two, three other people. And then the Fricker Center situation happened. And when the Fricker Center situation happened, and you all built a coalition to make sure that people were getting the right type of information of why Fricker and Baptist were intrinsically tied to each other and intrinsically tied to the bigger picture of them gentrifying this area. Then we get to the next meeting where they're voting to decide whether or not Bayou District is going to do the redevelopment. Everybody showed up.
Everybody.
Like so it was hard because like that meeting before everybody showed up, nobody showed up before that one. And I went on Facebook Live and I just went off on Black people. Y'all are political chumps. You get in these clubs. Somebody step on them Jordans. They lose their life. But people come in here and take your home, your hospital, your community. You give them a pass. I mean, like, I laid in for an hour. 35,000 views later, that thing, and everybody was like, he right. And next thing I know, that next meeting, it was packed. It was packed. And it was just like, people kept coming up. They had great speeches, great talking points. And then you came up and you was just like, well, so what y'all having for dinner tonight? I mean, what that I had for me to say, from the city, dang. So, like, that was the joy. Because it felt like 2019, 2020, 2021 again.
It did.
It felt like that again.
Yeah.
And I was like, the thing that we have been telling people, number one, you have to speak to people's issues. And number two, you have to make it relatable to people to where they can easily grab it.
Yeah.
And it become a situation that's dear to their hearts is what happened. And so now we're in the place where you've decided that the greatest way, because you just said it, like two major victories from this year. And in the midst of that, they didn't snatch it back.
We won two major victories in the last quarter of the year, and they snatched them away before New Year's. You know how disheartening that is? That crushed me.
And so that now puts you in a place to where the mayor seat is. So the seat is the only light that you saw that could be the tool you use to bring change to working class communities in Pensacola. I know that this question has been asked to you before, but people are still going to ask this, seeing this episode. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyway.
Sounds good.
City council is an option. School board is an option.
Oh, for sure.
Why go for what is considered to be, especially not just in Pensacola, but Escambia County, the biggest seat in the county? Because people would say, oh, no, county commission isn't even bigger. No. From a financial standpoint, it's Pensacola and it's Pensacola Beach.
Yeah.
As far as the two cities that really make money for real for Escambia County, it's Pensacola and it's Pensacola Beach. And it's really starting to be more Pensacola now because of the fact of us bringing a lot of tech in, the housing developments, things of that nature. So, Jermaine, you could start on city council. You could start with the school board. Why do you want to do mayor?
Well, I always tell them, out of the last 3 mayors, only one of them have governing experience. But, especially our own community. Like if somebody that didn't look like me, and I'm only speaking about our community, if they come in and they own a successful laundromat, they're more qualified than me in some of our eyes, and I hate that, but it's a fair question. No matter where it's coming from, it's a fair question. And I push back and say, yeah, I run for city council. I'm just back with being activism, just with a title and less pay. Well, a little bit of pay, So, but, and to me, I feel like I know what I'm capable of. I spent my whole life proving people wrong. I've spent my whole life shooting big, and I don't look for people to co-sign it. If people would have weighed in on my decisions, on everything I would have done, I would have never been where I'm at today. Like being named National Peer Specialist of the Year, people told me you're not going to be able to do such and such, such and such. Not only did I do it, I was named the best in the country at it. So to me, it's like, why not? One thing I tell my clients is never take on other people's identity and expectations. You set your own on both. If you ask someone what they think, you're already at a disadvantage. You're already at a disadvantage. Nobody knows you like you. My girlfriend, she works in the medical field. I know her pretty well. Never seen her at work. I ain't been with her all 8 hours. I don't know what she's capable of when somebody comes in and they got high blood pressure and all that stuff. So, yeah, if other people would a lot of people tell me, start off at city council, such and such seat finna come up in a little bit and then work your way up. No, I don't want to do that. I think that by the time we do that and work ourselves up, they probably didn't stole Pensacola to the highest bidder, and I'll probably be living in somebody's Georgeville or whatever. No, the fight for democracy and our well-being is now. I don't even know if I'll be alive tomorrow, let alone another 8, 12 years. No, let's do it now. There was a young senator that everybody thought that he should have took his time. And he ended up being 44th president. I don't, I'm a biblical guy. I love God. And one of my biggest influences, King David. Everybody told him, don't go out there on that battlefield with Goliath. And next thing you know, he holding Goliath's head over his head. So no, I respect the question. But sometimes as a leader, you have to lead through actions, even when people don't believe in the action themselves. A lot of people are from that Missouri mind state where you got to show them. And, I could answer their question with words, but I'd rather do it in action. So they could be like, oh, that's why the mayor's race.
And it speaks also to the importance to why Pensacola is important to you. speak to the culture of Pensacola and how that plays a part in who you are, because there is a rich culture here, even as recent, like you said, Roy Jones Jr. is like considered the best pound for pound boxer in boxing period, in boxing history, but also started Body Heat and Bodyhead, and there's so many other people that's come from that that leads into the work that we do. Just speak to the culture of Pensacola and why you hold that true in the decisions that you make.
Yeah, Pensacola to me is like one of the most talent-driven cities in the world. We could go sports all day long. Like we could just go name any sport. There's a champion or a national champion, a Super Bowl champion, and of course, talk Roy Jones, Emmitt Smith, whoever, Witherspoon, Devon from the Seahawks. But then, also there's every ordinary people every day here that don't get the credit they deserve. People like you, people like me, you know what I'm saying? People that we've watched, H.K. Matthews, just some great people. We could just go on and on and on. I just think that Pensacola is one of those cities that's always been underrated. And a lot of people in the city is underrated. Like I'm going to tell you what speaks volumes about Pensacola. St. Augustine is the oldest city in the country, but we're older than St. Augustine. We were this close to being the state capital. So Geronimo was housed here, and he cursed the city, and it sure feel like it. And it sure feel like it, the way they treated him here out there on Fort Pickens. We're the city of 5 flags. We were owned by 5 different countries and or territories. So everything about this city is just like an enigma. We always feel like we're close to break it through. You ask people in South Florida, they said we're not Florida. But we are. We're from Floribama. You ask people from Bama, Alabama, and so we are just our own thing. But we are Florida. We were the first territory here. So our country, our culture here is one of its own kind. And when I say that, you will not find 2 individuals alike here, but you'll find a common thread. And to me, like I take on a lot of that identity here of everyone else. But then I have the mindset as well to understand how originality and independent thinking, along with what made me great, which made everybody else great in this city, will do things like make you run for mayor when there's no evidence that you should or that you have any slight chance of winning. And like I said, we're in a great spot as early voting approaching. I couldn't ask for a better spot right now in such a crowded race, so yeah, this is fun. I've learned a lot. I'm going to tell you, and I know you didn't ask this, but here's the biggest thing I learned while campaigning. We could talk Black community and how the Black community have been ignored all day, but that crosses over 9th Avenue too. Even the people that's living a lot better than us are not being listened to. The recycling center is another big portion. So, when you're staying on this side of the tracks, you just think it's us that's being ignored. Yeah, we're being ignored. They might be listened to a little bit more than us, but they are also being ignored still. And not being ignored is still ignored. It doesn't matter who's, still being listened to just a little bit more, a lot of bit more. And I'm like, man, this is a citywide problem. This is a citywide problem. So I learned a lot about this city culture, a lot more while campaigning, because all we can see is what we see over here. Now, I do have a different kind of lens because I do have clients here who I help out, and I come into their world a lot more, who I understand a lot more. Now I'm just taking on their trauma and their problems. But man, what a culture we have here. And I urge everyone around the state to visit Pensacola. Not just the beaches. Come see what we got, and you'll understand why we are who we are.
City is great. I done lived in 3 different cities in the state of Florida. First moved from Atlanta to Panama City, then from Panama City here, and then from here now to Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people all the time that my home in Florida is Pensacola. Even though Pensacola was not the first city that I lived in Florida. I tell people all the time, this is my Florida hometown, because the people here treated me with the utmost respect and honor. And anybody that's from Pensacola or that's ever lived in Pensacola, when you tell them that at one time or another, you lived in Pensacola, the countenance changes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Like the whole mood changes, because now, especially if you're a Black person that done lived in Pensacola, the whole mood changes, because now people understand what you've went through to become the person that you are now.
Definitely.
So I've studied your platform a bit, and of course it's deeply rooted in mental health services, being able to have a mental health response team to answer a lot of mental health issue calls instead of the police. But also, one key thing that I saw was building up workplace housing. And when we were at the event that we were at today, you stated workplace housing and not affordable housing. Speak to the difference and how to make that happen within your administration.
Yeah, I think these affordable houses are not, they're affordable, but not to us, not to me and you, not to the people, to the police and the first responders, not just police, who put their lives on the line every day, protecting neighborhoods or putting out fires or, picking up people that need transporting for emergency service via 911. But yet they can't afford to live here. Or the people who, like me, who steps in when there's a mental health crisis, but yet they can't afford to live here. The teachers that teach our students, but they can't afford to live here. Workforce housing is the housing that is matched up for the average salary here, which is it's not great, So I think that workforce housing, because everyone says affordable housing, and that's I done heard that tossed around by my opponents, by questions from audience, but I always like to say that I don't like affordable housing. Don't talk to me about, when you want to talk to me, let's talk workforce affordable housing, and then we can have a really good conversation, because the people who can afford the affordable houses can also afford expensive housing. And if affordable housing is the price tag it is, I hate to see expensive houses. So, I just feel like everyday individuals who make this city what it is should not be priced out. Because I welcome the boom that's coming here. I love the growth and development, but we need to do it responsibly. And we do not need to forget the people who already live here, who built this city through the rough times of, say, for instance, Hurricane Ivan, the great rebuild of that, to everything in between, whether it's COVID years and all those things. You look around this neighborhood, man, it did not look like the neighborhood used to be 5 years ago, let alone 25 years ago. And that's why the Roots program is something that I have that's near and dear to my heart, that also deals with housing, that helps that help displacement. And it's not that we're not welcoming new people into this neighborhood. It's just, I don't want to have the people that built it has to be two things could be true. Like the people that built this neighborhood needs to stay here while we invite new residents from wherever you are, what color you are, doesn't matter. But the people that built this neighborhood should have a fair shot at staying in the neighborhood that they built. And it's not the rise in taxes that's killing them; it's the property value. Go around a couple corners here. You'll see a $500,000 house next to a shotgun house. It tells you everything you need to know about this area. Pensacola is so big. There's no, the city of Pensacola especially, they don't have nowhere else to develop when it comes to houses. So now they're coming over here. We welcome that, but we need to protect the people that's already here. They don't need to be priced out. And that's my main thing. They don't need to. Thank God that we good here, but all of my neighbors, man, most of them gone. Yeah, it's sad.
So with that, we move into a season that has a lot of forums that sprouts up during campaign season. And one of the forums speaks to this particular issue because you were recently part of a forum that eventually turned into a one-on-one debate between you and the incumbent mayor, the incumbent already sitting mayor of Pensacola,
right.
Around land development, rent, and housing in general. And yes, of course, many other issues are brought up during these particular forums, but this particular forum was actually sponsored by a foundation and an organization that deals within the very redevelopment of this city. Speak to that, because one of the key, I think that particular forum for me is the turning point that happens with this particular race. So speak to that.
Yeah, I just to put it bluntly, the mayor and pretty much everybody there did not expect much out of me. And then I won. Then I won. I'm gonna tell you what it was like. I'm a big Florida State guy. It's like being in Florida State, Doak Campbell Stadium, waiting for Florida State just, early mid-season just to have a tune-up game against Jacksonville State. Then which this really happened, then Jacksonville State, small little school in Alabama, come in and beat Florida State, the powerhouse. That's what it was like. And only 3 people can see what I saw. That's me, the current mayor, and the moderator. And as I looked in front of his crowd was faces of disbelief. Faces of they want to do something to help, but they couldn't, And that's what happens when you think that someone who allows you to see a version of themselves, or you see a 5-minute clip, or you see them in front of the city hall fighting in a way that you have to be heard, not in the way you want to fight. And you just take like, oh, this guy is this, or you take in your head like, why mayor? Why not city council? He's not going to do much. And then you come in there quoting House bills, It was over before it started because it came out of their own camp that I'm a much stronger candidate than what they thought. Even my own community didn't know how strong I was. But there's no way you're going to be an organizer for 15 years and not know nothing. I thought people would give me a lot more credit. But it's like when you when you know you're good at something and you know it, and you expect everybody to know that. And then you're shocked to find out that people really don't look at you like that. And that's how I was. I'm like, wait a minute, the way I've been fighting, y'all just thought like, well, I don't know what they thought. I was shocked that they were shocked. When I came in that that place where we had McGuire's, when I walked in there, I was like, let me get this up real quick so I go home and finish watching what I was watching on TV. I knew there was no doubt in it. I was the only person and the small few people that was with me. We were the only people in there that knew that this wasn't going to be close. And I had one of my good friends that I work with out of the state of California. I work for a place in California, mental health place. She told me, she said, Jermaine, if I didn't know who the incumbent was, I would have thought it was you. And that's a mic drop moment there.
You carried yourself like the incumbent. Hearing some of the sound bites and things that came from that particular forum, because we'll label it as a forum, even though
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, because everybody keeps saying, well, it wasn't a debate. It wasn't a debate. I don't care. They called it a forum. I don't care what you call it. It was a debate. And here's why I say that. Because a forum, which I've been on way too many than what I would like to, because I have 2 back-to-back tomorrow. And, we didn't have so many forums. You should know, what my blood type is now. The voters should. But, I never died from answering questions or nothing like that. But here's the difference. A forum, everybody gets to answer the question. What me and DC did in that forum, we had rebuttals. That was the only place where I could rebuttal him and he could rebuttal me. Sounds like a debate to me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely sounds like a debate. One of the things that you brought up during the forum, air quotes, is when the July 4th shooting was brought up and how Mayor Reeves is looking to institute curfews in the city. Your response was curfews aren't needed. What's needed is investment in youth services and youth initiatives in the city that will keep our youth off the streets and give them something to do, which is currently what has put Mayor Scott in Baltimore at the place where crime has significantly dropped in Baltimore. And the same thing with Mayor Brandon Johnson in Chicago. Them having an understanding that you have to invest in the already existing youth programs and youth services, and also building up youth workforce programs as well. How important is that to your platform? And what steps will you be looking to take to institute that once you become mayor?
Yeah, it's very important to my platform because that's investing in the people that's going to be running this city in the next 40, 50 years. And then also I paired that with mental health because again, ACEs scores, adverse childhood experiences, that study predict what we saw out there on the 4th of July. So, people, are you familiar with ACEs score? Yeah. So it is like everything that goes into that community or those kids is affecting how they're playing out. When there's a problem, there's de-escalation skills, And then also, again, the Department of Justice, the Juvenile Justice Division labeled 6 p.m. to 12 midnight as the hot spot for crime and child death due to crime and all those things, arrest. And they love to brag about our recreational centers here, like Cobb and Fricka are doing great jobs and the rest of them are, but they close at 6, 7, right when that time starts. So we have to give them something to do a little after that. The way I would like to do it is, we're going to go find that funding. Now, it's going to be difficult to talk about funding because we got to watch what that tax amendment is going to do, before we could just even talk about what I had a plan before DeSantis did what he did. So But still, it don't matter because I will never tell individuals how to vote on that, on property tax. My job is made to be ready for the outcome. I'm gonna get that money. Like that's part of why I go for merit, because everything I've done in my life prepared me for this. You don't work in mental health without learning how to go get some of them grants and get some of that money. Now, there is no reason to reinvent the wheel. We got a bunch of youth programs that are killing it here, and they're doing it with a little bit of money. And if we can fund them during those hours so they can be operational, we already got people doing the work. Just give them help, and then they can help solve the problem. And then our youth will benefit from it. Our society will benefit from it. Everyone will benefit from it. It's an investment worth making. And the individuals, not just this administration, the prior administrations, the money's been there. It's just the priorities have never been there.
That one. I've heard State Representative Angie Nixon say this. I've also heard former President Barack Obama say this. Your budget is a moral document of what it is that you believe in.
That's true.
And the things that the city of Pensacola have decided to invest in, and Escambia County as well, shows us what it is that they believe in. Two final questions for you. So the first one is, your primary is August the 18th. As we all know, the mayor of Florida is allegedly a nonpartisan race. And so what happens with you if on August the 18th, you get the necessary 51% to become the next mayor of Pensacola? And also what happens if you don't, but you become one of the final two that goes into November?
Neither way, I won't sleep that night. There's going to be a lot of work to do on both hands. Because the week before the election, I fly to Arizona to close on $1.25 million for mental health dollars for the state and suicide prevention. So you can add that to my plate too as well, because regardless of how the 18th goes, I'm going to be working to make sure that when people feel like they don't want to be here no more, they have an add-on service to 988. I'm made from work. That's all I do is work. Because here's the thing, and I want people to hear me well, and it's not a great thing. But during my time of addiction, I felt like I've taken away from society so much. I will work myself into the grave to overpay where I've taken away. And that's through service. That's through mental health service. That's through serving this community. That's just being a listening ear where somebody don't have nobody else to talk to. Just tying somebody's shoe, if they got a handful of groceries, or just opening the door for a lady so she could walk through. No matter what, I just want to do the right thing for people, all people. And because I feel I feel worse than anyone else, because I know my potential to be a game changer and a world changer, but yet I spent 14 years, close to 14 years, throwing it all away. God has helped me and guided me back to the right path. Now it is my life duty to give 30-fold back than what I've taken away, and I've taken a lot away. To answer your question, we're gonna get to work like how we did when we announced. I'm gonna call the candidates because this is a crowded field. This is 6 of us running. So I call the candidates and I congratulate them on just a well-run campaign and pushing me to work so hard, as I'm sure I'm doing them the same way, and set up a meeting with them just to talk with them. not one of the ones. If we move on, like I won't talk to. And then we'll go from there. We'll go from there because now it's the major leagues. Now, if we win, then we're going right into transition. You know, I already have in mind who I want as my city administrator, my deputy city administrator, my this, my that, and so keep your phone on that night. I do have who I won't wear, but then it's just having a team of making sure because I hate making decisions just for me. I have an idea, but I'm not jumping. It's not my way or the highway on anything, you know. So, and I bet y'all know with that alarm, it's time for him to go.
Legit, final question for you. Here at BLKFLA, as you know, we pride ourselves in being the intersection of Black politics and Black culture for the state of Florida. Because our belief always is if you take care of the most marginalized person in the country, which is Black people, then everyone succeeds and wins. What is your vision, being that you're vying to be the mayor of Pensacola, Florida? What is your vision of a Pensacola where Black people are able to live in freedom, equity, and authenticity?
You know, I wanna make a place where Black people feel supported, feel like they can do anything that they put their mind to. Because even though right now I feel like I can do anything I put my mind to, but I don't feel supported by the city to do so. So I want the city to support those individuals to know that, you know, if whatever you want to do, that we're going to have your support behind it. Because like you said, and I said today, and you were there, because you cannot say you're pushing the city forward if you've been ignored the bottom half. And that's why I believe that when the bottom half is served in the correct way and they're supported, you just stated, I'm just saying in a different way, that the whole city wins. Then the whole panhandle, the whole county wins. Then the panhandle wins. And then now we're finally joined the rest of the state of, you know, cool grounds and stuff. So I'm not saying like, listen, that's how you know how bad Pensacola is, because I have an idea of how other places around the state is, and they have their challenges and their extreme. But man, we probably traded with you. You know, I want Pensacola Black residents to know that they're seen. They finally seen, you know, and heard, and that there's administration with a heart for people, all people, and for my people.
Jermaine, this has been the interview that I thought it was going to be. This has been the talk that I thought it was going to be. Appreciate you giving me the time, because you're a busy man. It's like at the time of this recording, it's August the 1st. So like, you know, you're a busy man for the next 17 days.
I'm tired, man. I'm tired.
Listen, y'all, for our people here in Pensacola, early voting starts August the 8th.
A week from today.
It's going to be August the 8th through the 15th. And then election day for everybody in the state of Florida is August the 18th. Check your local supervisor of elections office websites for your county's start day and end day for early voting. And also check your local supervisor of elections office, especially here in Pensacola for Escambia County. Check your local supervisor of elections office website to see if you're registered.
And if your polling place has changed, because if you vote in the Fricker Center in this neighborhood, Fricker Center is not the place no more. And there's been so many different information. I don't even know where the polling place is, but that's going to change for me on Monday.
Yeah. So do that as well. Check to see where your early voting locations are also going to be, because early voting is going to absolutely be your best bet.
Yeah.
To make sure that you're able to vote. And it's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great moment as we go from here to November. So as always, this is Jamal STEELE showing y'all love and appreciation for joining us on this BLKFLA experience. As always, stay free, stay blessed, and continue to get acquainted with greatness.
If Revolution was a movie, I'd be theme music. Time to ignite what I spit is light and fluid.